Hi guys, welcome to part 5 of the lace dress detail tutorial. I basically ended with a shell. Okay, so yeah, with these two shells separated by chain 2s. So this is how I'm gonna end. As usual, I'm going to chain 2 and then finally slip stitch to the chain 3 you made from the beginning to join. Okay, afterwards you are going to insert your hook into the next space and slip stitch again. Okay, so let's begin the next row. I'm going to chain a total of 4, extended double crochet in the next stitch as usual. So another one in the following. We have a total of 3 because the chain 4 counts as a stitch, and then there's the 4th one, and then there's the 5th. Okay, so previously we had a total of 7 extended double crochet for this set, and you realize that we are reducing in the process. So that's the outcome now. And then basically you are going to increase the 3 into 5. Remember that we had a standalone double crochet, so just chain your 2 as usual and then increase this to 5. So you put a total of 2 extended in the first stitch. So this is the first one, so 1 and then 2, sorry, and then go ahead and put an extended double crochet in the next, and then finally put a total of 2 in the last one. So now let's move on to the next set. So afterwards you chain 2 and then you skip the next extended double crochet and double crochet into the following. Extended double crochet into the following. And then go ahead to repeat your extended double crochet. So this is the third one. This is the fourth. And then this is the fifth. Okay. So I have a total of 5 now. We are reducing 7 to 5. And now to the shell detail. So now you are going to chain a total of 2. Move to the first shell and then do a total of 2 double crochets. Chain 2, go back, 2 double crochets. Then finally we are going to work our very first detail in between the 2 shells. Okay, so that detail is going to form another design, and yeah, so What you're going to do is to chain 2. Okay, going back, go in between the space. Okay, so yarn over, insert your hook, pull through, yarn over, insert your yarn over, pull through 2, sorry, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, insert, pull through, yarn over, pull through 2, yarn over, pull through 2. So that's just a double crochet. So put a total of 5 double crochets in that exact same space. Okay, and then you insert your hook in the first you made, and then grab your loop and then slip stitch. And then afterwards we are going back again with an extra double crochet, perfectly made. Okay, so it's kind of like a bubble like feature. Okay, so afterwards you are going to chain 2 and then do your regular shell in the shell, and then yeah, continue repeating this simultaneously. Okay, until you get to the end of the row. When you meet your 7, you reduce to 5, which is the set, and then you increase your 3 to 5 as I taught you, and then you do the same reduction here, and then you make the same shell detail by making sure that you make this bubble stitch, I mean bubble detail in between the 2 shells. So I'll meet you at the end of the row. So guys, I did end successfully, and I've slip stitched to join. After the repetition, for the next row, as usual, you are going to slip stitch into the next space and then chain a total of 4. Okay, now move to the next and then put your extended double crochet there. So there's 2 because the chain counts as a stitch. There's the third one. Okay, so you are going to have a total of 3. You have reduced it to 3 now, from 5 to 3, and then afterwards you are going to chain 2 and you are going to increase the 5 stitch into 7. So to do that, in the first stitch you are going to put a total of 2 extended double crochets, and then go along by putting an extended double crochet in each stitch to meet the last stitch for this detail, where you are going to put a total of 2, and then you have an increase now. Okay, perfect. Now let's move to the next detail where you are going to do a decrease. You just chain 2, skip the next extended double crochet and put an extended double crochet in the following, and then in the next stitch as well, and then in the final stitch in the next stitch. Okay, so you are decreasing to 3 as we began. It's the same detail. Okay, it's the same detail over here, and then we finally meet the shell portion. Okay, so next we're going to chain 2 in the shell. You are going to do your regular shell, 2 double crochets, chain 2, 2 double crochets, and then you are going to chain 2 in between the bubble detail over here. I'm going to put a total of 5 double crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. Now pull your loop insert in the very first you made, and then slip stitch to give you a nice detail. Afterwards, go back in the same space with an extra double crochet. Perfect. So afterwards, you are going to chain a total of 2 and then place a double crochet. Skip this whole bubble stitch and place a double crochet in the first chain for the chain 2 you made separating the shell and the bubble. Okay, so just go there and then double crochet. So you have a mesh stitch in between the bubble now. Afterwards, go inside the space here and put a total of 5. So 5 double crochets. And then insert your hook in the last, grab your loop and slip stitch nicely. Okay, and then chain your 2 and repeat your shell in the shell as usual. So that's how the repetition of the detail is gonna be. When you get here, you do your decrease, you do your increase when you get to this portion, and then your decrease here. And when you get to the shell, as usual, you repeat what we just did here. And yeah, you should be fine. I'll meet you at the end. When you get to the end, make sure you slip stitch to join, and then slip stitch 1 to begin the next row. I'll meet you there. So after slip stitching to join, you have to slip stitch again to the middle of the 3 extended double crochet, and then we are finally ending this whole pattern. Okay, so it's decreasing. Okay, so for the next row we are going to chain 4. Okay, and then chain an additional 2. The reason why we chain 4 is that this chain 4 counts as 1 extended double crochet, and the chain 2 is the gap between these 2 patterns. Okay, so afterwards we are going to increase here as well by putting 2 extended double crochet in the first stitch, then move along putting an extended double crochet in each stitch till you get to the last double crochet for the pattern. So we are going to put 2 here, and then you have an increase. So next we are going to chain 2 and put a double crochet in the middle of the 3 consecutive extended double crochet. I mean an extended double crochet there, and then you chain 2 again and then move to the shell design. So do a shell inside the shell, chain 2, and then a shell inside a shell once again. Sorry, I mean chain 2 and then your shell, your 2 double crochets. So a shell in a shell, and afterwards you are going to chain 2 and then put 5 double crochet in between the shell and the detail. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now pull the loop, insert here and slip stitch. Perfect. Afterwards add an extra double crochet in the same space, and then you have this cool detail here. So you are going to chain 2 once again, and then move to the chain space in between the popcorn to just, you see we chain 2, you are going to put a double crochet here in the first chain, and then you are going to chain 2 again, skip this whole space and put a double crochet here in the next chain. So you should have a mesh stitch, a box over here, and then you chain 2 once again, move to the next chain and put a double crochet there. You should have 1 2 3 three boxes, 1 2 3. Afterwards, you are going to move directly into the space with 5 double crochets just to create the detail. And then slip stitch over here, and then go back with an extra double crochet, chain 2, and then move to the next shell and do your regular shell stitch inside. And then you should have something like this. So that's what you are going to repeat when you get to this portion. And then when you get to the portion where you have the decrease and increase of the pattern, make sure you put a double crochet right on top of the 3, and then you increase the 1 2 3 4 5 6, the 7 to 9. Okay, so by putting 2 stitches in the first and 2 stitches in the last, we are going to increase to 9. You are going to repeat this all around. I'll meet you at the end, and then we begin the next section. To end this row, after repeating what I taught you, you are going to, this is the last shell I made for this detail. I'm going to chain 2, okay, and then slip stitch, count to the 4th space and slip stitch. Remember that we chained 6 for the beginning, so 1 2 3 4, and then slip stitch to the 4th space. Nicely done. And you finally end this whole detail since you have only one stitch left. Okay, so now we are going to concentrate on increasing this one to 11. This was increased to 9. These two details end here, unfortunately, so say bye bye to them. So next we are going to slip stitch twice, so into the first double crochet. You are now going to chain a total of 4 and go back in the same space with an extended double crochet. Okay, and then go along to put an extended double crochet throughout till you get to the last, where you are going to put a total of 2. So now in the last stitch you put a total of 2 as I told you. Perfectly done. And now you are going to ignore this since it has ended. I'm just going to chain a total of 3. 1 2 3. Skip this whole detail and then move to the shell detail. Okay, so you are now going to put a total of 2 double crochets, chain 2, and then 2 double crochets. And then afterwards you are going to chain 2, go back in the space in between the detail, the popcorn detail and the shell, and put a total of 5 as usual. 1 2 3 4 and then 5. Now insert your hook into the very first double crochet you made and grab the loop you pulled out and slip stitch. Okay, and then add an extra double crochet. Perfect. So now what you're going to do is to chain 1, skip this whole popcorn detail and put a double crochet in the very first chain in between. So yeah, so a double crochet there. You have your mesh detail, you chain 1, skip the whole space, go on top of the previous double crochet and put a double crochet. This is your second mesh detail, and then chain 1 again, move to the on top, a double crochet. So 1 2 3, this is going to be the fourth one. So chain 1, go in between the popcorn, the chain space in between the popcorn and the popcorn stitch and the here, the detail, and then double crochet, chain 1, skip this whole, and then skip this detail and then double crochet into the next chain. Okay, so you should have a total of 5. 1 2 3 4 5 5 boxes in between. So now you can go in between the shell and the popcorn detail and put a total of 5 double crochets. And now pull the loop, slip stitch in the very first one you made for this cluster, and then go back and add an extra double crochet. So 6 in total. So this is what you're going to do for all the details here. I don't have to repeat, and as I taught you, you are going to do the same repetition by ignoring the standalone double crochet, which this pattern has ended. We are going to increase this to 11 by putting 2 in the first and the last for this detail. I'm gonna meet you, and make sure you always put your shell in a shell and always slip stitch to join. Pretty easy, right? And yeah, I'm gonna meet you at the next row, and then we begin the I'm gonna meet you at the next row. Sorry, I'll meet you there. Moving on to the next row, we are going to concentrate on decreasing now. So this was increased to 11, we are now decreasing it to 9, this detail. So I just slip stitch to join. I'm just going to slip stitch 1 again and then chain a total of 4. Go to the next stitch and put an extended double crochet there. So you must have a total of 9 including the chain 4. So you have 2 so far, and then this is the third one, so 3, and then 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9. So you must have a total of 9 now since we are decreasing. Perfect. So after that, you are going to chain a total of 2, and then skip this whole pod and put your shell in your shell as usual, which is 2 double crochets. Chain 2 2 double crochets, and afterwards you are going to chain 2 and put a total of 5 double crochet in between the shell and this detail, which I call the popcorn detail. I don't know if I'm right, but yeah, let's call it that way. So 5 double crochet and slip stitch in the very first, and then put another double crochet in the same space. Afterwards, you are going to chain 1 and then double crochet right over here. So you skip the stitch and double crochet in the chain in between, and then you chain 1 and then double crochet, you chain 1 again, and then double crochet on top of the following, go in between and put a total of 5 this time. 1 2 3 4 5 double crochet done. Slip stitch into the very first nicely, and then go back with an extra double crochet. Okay, chain 1, go on top of the next a double crochet, chain 1, go over here a double crochet, chain 1, over here a double crochet. Okay, now go in between these two details and put your total of 5 as usual. And slip stitch over here, and then add an extra, and then chain 2, and then do your shell in the shell. So you must have a total of 1 2 3 1 2 3 3 boxes in between each detail. Remember that we just added this detail in the middle because we are come to start a new pattern on its own, but this is going to extend and expand. Okay, so repeat this for each shell detail, and repeat what I just taught you here by decreasing the 11 to 9, and you will be fine. You can replay if I'm going fast, or you can slow the fast by going to play speed to reduce the level at which I'm moving. But yeah, you should be fine. I'll meet you in the next row. I ended the row and I've now slip stitched to join. A little explanation before we continue in case. So if you take a look at this detail, let's just concentrate on this detail. You realize that we do the shell and then we do this detail, and then we introduce for the very first time this detail in the middle of the detail. So you can see that we have written a V upside down, a V, sorry, and then we are going to start this detail once again from this middle detail, and we are going to do the same thing. It's going to expand. We are going to put some of the details side and side, and it's going to expand. The mesh stitch is also going to expand as time goes by, and this detail is also going to expand. Okay, let me just show you what I mean from the original detail. Okay, so this is what I'm talking about. I mean here. Okay, so take a look at this detail. That is what we are about to do. Okay, just take a screenshot of this detail. That's why we introduced the very first one in between, but this detail is gonna expand as I told you. It's just a regular V and it's gonna expand, so there's nothing special about this, but this detail is going to include expanding and then chaining as well to get this middle spider web design. Okay, let's continue. Enough of the talking. So as usual, this 9 is going to reduce to 7, so make sure you slip stitch into the next piece after slip stitching to join, and then you chain your 4, and afterwards you go next your extended double crochet until you have a total of 7. So 1 2 3 and then 4, and then 5 6 7. So you have a total of 7 now. Perfect. Afterwards, oh my god, I am just afterwards we are going to chain a total of 3. Now move to the next shell and then do a shell inside. Nothing changes much, it's just a shell in a shell. Afterwards, you are going to chain a total of 2 and then move inside with your popcorn detail. So you make sure you put a total of 5 and then slip stitch in the very first one as I've been teaching you so far. Okay, and then afterwards we are going to we are going to add an extra double crochet, making a total of 6, and then we are going to chain 1, move right on top in the next stitch, and then put a double crochet there just to create the mesh detail right on the popcorn, and then chain 1 and then double crochet, chain 1 and then double crochet on top of the next, and then afterwards you are going to move into this space, okay, in between this mesh and the popcorn here, the middle popcorn. You are going to put a total of 5 double crochets inside the space, and then slip stitch to join. I mean slip stitch to give you that puff detail and add an extra double crochet, making a total of 6 here. And then afterwards you chain your 1 as usual, double crochet right on the next chain, and then chain 1, move on top of the next double crochet, and then double crochet. Sorry, that was a mistake. I got confused almost. So after you chain 1 and double crochet, now you move to the next space and then put a total of 5, creating the popcorn detail over there as well. And then slip stitch over the first to make the detail, and then add an extra as usual. Oh my gosh, this yarn is very slippery. If you make a mistake, I'm going to unravel the whole thing. So this is how the detail is going to look like. Okay, so you have 2 popcorns here, and then you have your regular V over here surrounding. So afterwards you chain your 1 and then double crochet on top of the next, and then chain 1, move over here, okay, and double crochet as usual, and then chain 1. Now move on top of the detail, and then double crochet, and then go inside the space with a total of 5 as usual, and that's when you create your detail. And then slip stitch over nicely and add an extra 1, making a total of 6. Now you chain 2 and repeat your shell in the shell, and yeah, do this repetition in all the details for this row. You can replay to get more insights if you get lost. That is how your project should look like. You're going to repeat this on every detail, and then you're going to reduce this 9 to 7 by skipping first and last of this detail to decrease. So I'll meet you at the end, and then we begin the next row.